0.567 mils, an increase of 0.801 mils. Without this tentative tax increase, the millage rate will be no more than 7.766 mils. The proposed tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $325,000 is approximately $100.93, and the proposed tax increase for a non-homestead property with a fair market value of $300,000 is approximately $96.12. 3 public hearings are required. This is the first public hearing. The second hearing will be held on July 29th at 6 p.m. and the third hearing will be held on August 5th at 6:30 p.m. And we can go ahead and open it up, public hearing now.
Okay, now we'll have the public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to speak, now would be the time. You would have 3 minutes to speak for.
You have to repeat that one time a little louder.
I'm sorry.
I'm having a hard time hearing what she's saying. She's talking, it's not coming out here very much. Just let her repeat what she says so we understand what she's talking about.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Do you mind doing that?
That's fine.
Excuse me, can you put it on the board so we can actually see it? I'm curious about the percentages and how it impacts senior citizens and disabled people with fixed incomes. Can you put the information on the board so we could actually see it?
Not here.
Currently there's not a digital copy.
Brittany, they still can't hear you.
This isn't on.
Is it on?
Can you come up here to the front and speak then?
Hold on, guys. Let's stay in order. So we don't want you speaking from the audience. So when you speak, you'll be able to come up here. So just let us get control of it so we can keep order. We don't want everybody just jumping up speaking because that's out of order.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So if you can be seated, we'll make sure that we allow you to come up and speak.
They can't. They
Okay.
can't hear.
Testing. This one is a lot louder. Okay.
Is that better?
Yes. We currently do not have a digital copy to put on the slides, but this is exactly the same thing that ran in the paper. So I imagine that most of you probably are here from either receiving the advertisement in the paper or the advertisement on the website. So I'm just reading exactly what was advertised in the paper. Do you want me to go ahead and read it again? Okay.
Can I respond to that?
Okay, now we'll have. Okay, you're going to read it again.
Newton County has tentatively adopted a millage rate which will require an increase in property taxes of 10.31%. This tentative increase will result in a millage rate of 8.567 mils, an increase of 0.801 mils. Without this tentative increase, the millage rate will be no more than 7.766 mils. The proposed tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $325,000 is approximately $100.93, and the proposed tax increase for a non-homestead property with a fair market value of $300,000 is approximately $96.12.
Okay, now we will open up the floor for public comments. So if you would like to comment, please come forward. If you would state your name and address, please, for the record.
John Dobbs. I live at 211 Dry Pond Road in Covington. Now, in this past Sunday's paper in the Covington News, y'all want to go up on property taxes, but there is 17 foreclosures. How many of them foreclosures are senior citizens? Senior citizens know how much they get for the year by February. We don't, Social Security gives us a 3% pay raise for Social Security. Medicare goes up 5%, so we lose 2% right off the top. We keep losing this 2%, 2% every year. We don't have no extra money. And 10% that y'all want to go up, that y'all say it's in the paper, it's 10% for property value. When I went to school, you multiplied 10% by 300,000, you come up with $30,000. I'd like somebody to explain that 10% to me to equal out $100. Because 10% of 300,000 is $30,000. It's not $100. I don't know how y'all do your figure. I would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is John Citizen, and my address is 195 Creekview Boulevard in Covington. And my question is, what's the reason for all this? You're not explaining what is the actual reason. Is it because of the big, beautiful bill? And everything is trickling down, or what? But we just want to know, what's the reason? You know, just what's the reason?
Okay.
Because you know, we're a lot of senior citizens in this community. You know, veterans, Vietnam veterans, Korean War veterans. It's to me, it's just not right without explanation. What's the reason?
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hey, good morning. David Gilbert, 240 Oak Ridge Road, Covington, Georgia. My biggest question is, like, I know cost of everything goes up, but this 10%, where's this money going? I mean, I see a lot of building in the county, so revenue should be coming in. We as citizens are having to cut back. Maybe the county needs to cut back in a couple areas that they need to cut back in. 10% is a huge chunk. Just like what everybody's saying on fixed incomes, when you retire and you have a certain income coming in, 10% is a lot of money. 2% you could live with. 10, that's almost outrageous. And it's going to affect each one of y'all also, because all y'all live in the county too. It affects everybody that's in this county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. If you just state your name and address, please.
Stephen Hogan, 70 Willow Shoals Drive, Covington, Georgia, 30016. I understand you need to have an increase. However, I haven't seen any kind of improvements in my area, especially when it rains and the front of the area gets flooded. And I don't understand if this has to do with the big beautiful bill that was just recently passed, because I understand that the county is trying to, well, you've already succeeded in raising the tax on my property, and yet I'm still wondering if the state's going to increase the property values so they can get their taxes, because they're losing their monies, their funding from this big beautiful bill. Can somebody answer to me exactly what's going on here and why are we doing this? Because I don't feel like any improvements has happened in the county as far as I know. And as far as you were referring to the newspaper, I don't read the newspaper. I can't afford the newspaper. The internet is something I used to do quite a bit when I was young, but I can't do that anymore either. So I just need to understand what's happening here and why are we doing what we're doing. It's a very simple question. Okay, if it's a raise, I understand, everybody needs a raise. But if that's all it is, I think it's too high of a raise of the 10.3%. Especially seniors that aren't getting anything in return.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Ronald Horn, 60 Patterson Way, Covington. I was wondering, I'm disabled. I've been disabled since 2012. Is there any relief for the disabled, the veterans, or the senior citizens with these tax breaks? I've been living in my neighborhood for 19 years. The front entrance, we don't have an HOA. People have to volunteer to cut the front. We never got our roads repaved in 19 years. I just want to know what can we do about these issues besides always raising the property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Clemens, 152 Deep Step Road, Covington. My question that I would like to have an answer, and I think Leanne has addressed this before, what is the correlation of this as or what impact does the Board of Education have on all this as far as the increase? That would be my question, because what she has said before is that there's an impact there that you all can't have any, you can't control. So I guess my question there is do we need to start barnstorming the Board of Education and kind of get an idea of what their impact is? Because a lot of times they're kind of off in the the room over here and nobody ever hears anything or knows anything. At least I don't. I haven't been. I'm gonna try my best to try to get into that and understand more of what their impact is. I personally believe, and of course this is just an opinion, that once you get to a certain point in your life, 65, your retired age, you don't have kids in the county going to school, you don't even have grandkids going to school hardly. There ought to be some serious relief from the Board of Education, and then I think that would impact what you all do and what your impact is as far as setting the millage rate. Thank you for taking my questions.
Thank you.
My name is Lori Osley. I live at 14 North Broad, Porterdale. I saw a few chuckles about the big, beautiful bill, but let's face it, it is going to affect every one of us, especially us seniors. And I also would like to know where the money's going, because my property has decreased in value since I bought it in 2017, but my property taxes have gone up each year. And I understand the 10.31% increase is not 10% of a $300,000 home, but a 10% increase, but still they've gone up every year that I have lived in Newton County. The schools are derated. They're horrible, so I'm just trying to understand what this money is for, because I, like everybody else, don't see the improvements, and as seniors, we're gonna be affected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Pearlie Citizen. My address is 195 Creekview Boulevard in Covington, Georgia. You mentioned about keeping things in order. I can't see from here to know what your names are up there. So there was no introduction. So I don't know who represents my area. My area is 3. The last time I was at a board meeting, we were trying to keep a group home out of our subdivision that eventually sneaked in through the back door and got there anyway. I think that this increase for property taxes is going to impact your seniors negatively. And as I look across the board, there's some of you probably going to be affected negatively also. I am a retired, take that back, I'm not retired. I am a registered nurse. I have worked most of my time in California because the salaries, the wages in Georgia does not match what it should be. Now I am home, which is Covington, Georgia. And to find out my property value has gone up, yet I don't see any difference in the roads, nothing changes, our subdivision still looks the same. And then now we're talking about property taxes, my insurance goes up. I've worked all these years to retire and to live comfortably, and I'm sure you guys did too. This is not what I expected. And I certainly hope that you do not raise our taxes. Like the gentleman said, we don't have kids in the school district, most of us. We should not be impacted to that point that we have to pay unfairly to, for the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else? Thank you. Thank you. I did.
My name is Doug Rowe. I live at 245 Ram Drive in Covington, Georgia. The first little handout I gave you, we own several rental properties. Our county tax is $18,494.05 in 2017. In 2025, with the 10% increase, $47,715.10, increase of 158%. The population during that time rose 16,998 people, 14.77. Inflation for that period was 29%. I ran stores for a company in 4 states. I did budgets, performance, profit and loss, and if I went with only the increases I show here, with a budget, they'd have laughed me out of the boardroom. I don't see how you can justify anything. If the population only goes up 16%, well, 14% over that time, and my taxes go up 158% from 18,000 to 47,000, that's crazy. I don't have nobody in no school. I got a friend lives in Henry County. They don't pay school tax. His house is bigger than mine. My tax is $4,800 a year. His is $1,450. He pays no school tax. Seniors over 65 in Henry County do not pay school tax. I've never had somebody in school, but I've always paid the taxes. I got an example here. I got this in the mail from State Farm on one house we owe in 155 Ewing Drive in South Fork. They say it's worth $349,000. Y'all say it's worth $425,000. My personal home is bigger than this home. My personal home is brick all the way. And this house is wood, side, and painted. My house is valued at $329,000. Y'all just pull numbers out of the air. Another example, we own 2 houses on Lakeview. There's a strip of land between that we traded with Spillner several years ago because he wanted 16 feet on the lower end where he has a lot at the corner of Washington Street in Lakeview. a strip of 16 feet by 98 feet. This year it was valued at $32,000 or $268,000 for an acre. That's crazy. I appealed it, they went down to $3,200, but still that's too much. If I never pay the tax on that, who's gonna buy it? You could plant 2 rows of corn.
I'm so sorry, but your time is up.
Okay. Well, I made the point.
You did.
Y'all crazy.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, everybody. It's me, usual, James Peterson, 70 Crooked Creek Way, Covington, Georgia. My question is, as I looked over it, I noticed 138% for your travel, meals, and training was 138% increase. My question is, what are we doing about the embezzlement that's taking place on the county? You are the stewards of our money. And I have brought to you on several occasions the excessive use of the P cards for personal use. That's called embezzlement. So I guess my next step is to continue to monitor the P cards, and instead of bringing it to you, I will take it to the district attorney and ask them to prosecute them for stealing of government funds. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Thank you. Okay. Then we'll close the public hearing. Okay. Now, do the commissioners have any comments? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, there's so many things I want to say, right? The school system's budget and their tax levy is 100% separate from ours. So make sure you understand that when you look at your tax bill, your tax assessment, that we are a totally separate entity with zero control over what the school system does or the tax they levy. I heard, I think it was Mr. Gilbert talking about how the households are having to cut back, and that includes my household. We've had to cut back quite a bit because of not only my taxes, but my insurance. And the cost of living has just gone up, period. So, but that doesn't mean that I don't have to pay because I cut back. I'm still having to find ways to pay my bills. So, I heard another comment having to do with I don't see where my tax dollars are going, and my road hasn't been paved in the next number of years. And by the way, I live on a dirt road. But we have an LMIG list listed on the website that tells the number of roads and which roads and streets get paved every year. So your tax dollars are going to work there. And I had one other, and by the way, the great big beautiful bill came after we had our budget in place. And by the way, this is a formality. This is a formality to vote on a millage rate that was set 2 months ago, almost maybe a month and a half ago maybe. So our budget workshops are held, our budget hearings are held right here as well. So, but let me give you an idea of where the increases come from, right? From last year. Over last year, we did a comp in class salary increase for our employees because employee turnover is almost twice as expensive as paying employees. $3.7 million. That's where that went. So we could continue to lose employees because of salary and benefits, and our tax dollars, my tax dollars as well, would be even higher. $1.5 million for health insurance increase. If we don't provide good health insurance, they're gone, the employees leave. $1.75 million for contingency for new positions needed for mainly for facilities created by SPLOST projects. SPLOST projects that were on the ballot that the people of this county voted yes for. Now, I wasn't in favor of all those SPLOST projects, but as a result of some of those SPLOST projects, we create facilities that now have to have people put into those. All right, so $1 million for public bridge work in the county and $750,000 for public works culvert replacement. Those are your tax dollars going back to work, and those are just simply, that's just the increase over last year for those, and I don't know what that totals, Brittany. I didn't do that math. I'm sure you have, but you know, you add 3.7 million, 1.5 million, 1.75 million, 1 million and 750,000. You get X number of dollars as an increase over last year. So I just wanted to explain a couple of those topics off the top of my head that I heard raised by our taxpayers when they came before us. That those are the things we battle, and I know. At least the three commissioners sitting here, I know these three commissioners sitting here, came and sat down with James and our finance director, and I don't want to say we battled, but we scraped and clawed and got rid of expenses we thought we could get rid of. In our budget, and the resulting budget and the subsequent millage rate is what we came up with as best we could. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to kind of reiterate or even help answer some of the questions that were stated as well, there are a lot. And I wanted to make sure that I wrote those down so that we can do our best to address those concerns. Some of you may or may not recall, but the state passed a bill called House Bill 581, which is property tax relief and reform for Georgians. It was submitted by Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District. It was passed by the Georgia General Assembly on March 28, 2024, and signed by Governor Brian Kemp on April the 18th. And so with that being said, what happened is it came down to the local government to say, hey, you know, we've passed House Bill 581. There was a referendum put on the ballot last year stating, do the citizens of Newton County, are you in favor of this House Bill 581 or are you not? Over 60+% of the residents in Newton County agreed to this House Bill 581. What that does, it actually puts a lock on your property taxes with no more than 3%. For example, if your property values go up 10%, you're only going to be taxed at 3%. And if I'm wrong, if I'm saying something incorrect, is it 4%? Yes, please correct me if I say something incorrect. Yes, could be, the school tax is different than ours. So it can potentially, you know, it's going to stay at that 4%. Say, for example, if it's only 4%, you're not going to, if your home values only go up 4%, of course, that's where it's going to be. So what happens is that puts the county in a position to say, well, that's only a limited amount that we can get to provide you with road repair, with making sure that you have deputies on the road, making sure that we have firefighters, making sure that we have employees, making sure that we have judges in place, making sure that we have our tax assessor's office, our tax commissioner's office. The budget from this board has to pay for all of those services. And so what it has done, that House Bill 581 has limited the amount of revenue that this board can intake to provide you with the services that you truly deserve as taxpayers. Well, what this board has to do is try to figure out, well, how do we balance that out? How do we weigh that out? Because we want to continue to provide you with the services that you deserve as taxpayers. You pay taxes, so you deserve to have, you know, things taken care of for you in the community. Well, and we discussed this when that House Bill 581 came before us, is we may incrementally over time have to increase so that we can still provide you with those taxes. So with those services. So that's a big thing with us. Now, it won't affect us this year, but the following years, it's really going to have a major impact. So you may incrementally over time see it. I'm a taxpayer, so my taxes are increasing every year too. And we want to make sure that we're taking care of our seniors and that, we're doing the best that we can. But once again, our Board of Education, theirs is a lot higher than ours. And so theirs is different than ours. But we have, since I've been in, when I came in 2019, we were at 13.44% millage rate. We went down to 8.2 in the last 7 years. And now we're going back up to 8.6. So we've done a great job to help provide a level of relief. So I wanted to make sure that you all were, aware of that as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think that my executive secretary is getting some information about the school board, their millage rate and taxes. I did not know that for years they set their own millage. Nobody says anything, and they get 59% of the total tax that the county collects. And no one goes to their meetings, so that I know of. I think she's getting some information, so maybe you'll know when they meet, and that would be a good idea to show up because we have no control over that. And that would be the time to tell them that senior citizens should not have to pay. And I think we all agree with that. Thank you. Commissioner Long.
Thanks for all the people that came out and that care enough to come out. That means more to me than anything that you're sitting here in the audience. I think one of the things that I wanted to address that's different than what they address is I am in the real estate business, and I will say that your taxes are going up, but also your property values are climbing at a record amount. If you look at what your property is worth now, and then what it has grown in values is just crazy. People come to us all the time and we'll be selling a piece of property and I'll look at that piece of property and say, oh my gosh, that's not even worth that. But that is a nationwide thing that's going on, that real estate values are up almost 8 to 10% over the last 3 years. So when you give us an insurance thing, which you're lucky whoever gave us this insurance that it was only $384, my insurance bill is so high, and they're even trying to, I always say, why are they covering my land? My land is never going to burn down. But it is usually all of it with your land, and that's a whole nother day and a whole nother story. But to have, your State Farm not hit you with a bigger bill, you're so lucky, because my insurance went from $2,500 to $4,700 for my homeowners. Nothing's changed. Not one thing has changed out there. So I want to make sure that everybody understands, look at your property value. The chart that the gentleman gave us shows how much his taxes have gone up, but look how much his property values have increased. Would you sell the house that you gave us for $384? Probably not. You probably want to sell it for $450. But that's okay, you're not selling it. And I always say that to people too, well, I'm not selling it, so I don't really care what it's worth on the open market, but that's how they're evaluated. This board does not evaluate your property, okay? The Board of Tax Assessors evaluates your property. You have the right to appeal that value when you get it. And one of the number one things, I served on the Board of Equalizations for 20 years for this county. One of the things that I always tell people is go look at your property card. Make sure that is correct. Make sure if you don't have a finished basement, make sure the county's not taxing you on a finished basement. Make sure if you have 2 baths and they're taxing you for 3 baths, you get that corrected right away. That can make a huge difference in your property values. So make sure that everything is correct on your property card. And how you find that is on Q Public, Newton County Q Public, and you'll see your property record card. So that's the number one thing that you need to do. So we're not setting that value. We're not sitting in here, oh, okay, let's take so-and-so's house up. We don't do that. That's not us. They give us an estimated amount of funds that we're going to collect based on the numbers that they have on property values. And it's a formula and a process that they go around. So if your property value has not increased in the last couple of years, get ready, because everybody else's has. And somehow you got missed. So you're going to get that. One of the things I've been talking to the tax commissioner is the person that collects the taxes. People often get those roles confused. Is how can we help our seniors? Everybody that's sitting up here right now, like Chairman Hayes said, wants to do something for seniors. We want to so bad. We're not sure if we can, and we're trying to find out. We don't take their word and say, oh, no, you can't do it. Yes, we're trying to figure out a way. One of the things that the tax commissioner recommended is that we look at the thresholds on the seniors' income limits. I think those are too low. You can't even live off the income limits that are on there. Because if you know you're a senior and you have a senior tax exemption, if you make over a certain amount of money, you don't even get that. And that number is really low. I think it's like 35,000. I don't know anybody can live off 35,000 anymore. So we're going to look at that issue and see if we can raise that. We're always looking at a way that we can make it where seniors don't have to pay school tax. But we need the school board to do that too, because they're the ones that are going to have to help us with that one. So I just want to make those points. We're always available if anybody has any questions. You can call any of us. Everybody spoke from every district that's sitting here today. So reach out to us, and we're happy to let you know anything that we can. But we worked really hard to keep that budget as low as, I mean, I chop, they chop, and in fact, everybody was mad at us. So, so we worked really hard, and I know it doesn't look like or sound like it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, thank you.
Up.
I was trying to talk as fast as I could.
Thank you. Does our county manager have anything? Any other commissioners, anything? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. Okay. All in favor? Okay. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.